Welcome to Commander's Tech, Weapons and Warfare in Context. Cannons. Black powder guns dominated the battlefields from the 14th to the 19th centuries and were of course critical to naval warfare in that period. Really, it's a simple weapon. A tube, cast, open at one end, sealed at the other end, with a touch hole for a fuse or a linstock, which is like a slow match on a stick. You load powder in the bore end, pack it in at the end, put in wadding, shot, either solid ball or shot like similar to shotgun shot, things like canister and grape shot. Packets of ball bearings essentially. Put a fuse or just leave an open touch hole, or later on they use percussion locks on these after a fashion. Then elevate the barrel in order to aim. The whole mathematics to that I'll get into later. But then touch off the fuse, boom, fires. For such a powerful weapon, but such a simple weapon, because it is black powder and uses non-fixed ammunition, in the United States, black powder cannons are virtually unregulated, at least at the federal level. In most states, it is perfectly legal and not all that complicated for civilians to own black powder cannons like this. Now, they range in price. A functional, maybe not full size, but still pretty significant gun will go for around $800 to $1,000, but that's just for the barrel itself. For the carriage as well, the carriage will cost another $800 to $1,000 because it's typically going to be a custom job of getting the carriage made, unless you happen to be a reasonably skilled woodworker or at least willing to make a serious effort at it. Full-size guns, particularly larger size guns, 6-pounders and heavier, things like Civil War era ordnance rifles or Napoleon cannons, may run you significantly more, at least if we're talking full size. But small guns, half-size carronades and the like, may be $800 to $1,000, maybe $1,500 total, figuring in the cost of building the carriage and all the accoutrements for it. Now, eventually I would like to get something like that, but for now, and our initial explorations of cannons, we're going to use this. This is the Traditions Old Ironsides 69 caliber cannon kit. I'm going to be building this and then test firing it, and we will use the results of that as well to explore some of the mathematics behind cannons and behind how to aim a cannon correctly. But for now and for this video, we're going to be building and finishing this cannon and then doing some test firing. So, without further ado, let's get started. We'll get into the background on cannons in just a second, but first, have a look at this. So if you've been following the channel for a while, you know that I have a fairly sizable collection of guns and swords and other weapons and militaria. Also probably have seen that we started a store not so long ago really to support the channel. In that store we sell posters, canvas wall prints, and t-shirts, all of my designs made up of pictures of my guns or from older classical military history pictures or illustrations from fencing manuals and things like that. Well, just wanted to show off some of the artwork that we have put up for sale from this. This is a picture of a Mosin Nagant M44 carbine, as well as a TT-33 Tokarev and a PPS-43 submachine gun. Actually, it's my PPS-43C, which is considered a semi-auto pistol, but it's still basically a submachine gun. As you can see, this picture came out quite good. This is up for sale both on Etsy and on eBay. Starts at about $20.99 for an 18 by 12. Price is going up from there. This is for a glossy poster version. It's also available as a canvas print, along with quite a few other pictures from my collection. One of the most popular ones on the store has been some of the pictures of the Browning 1919. This is the picture of my 1919, showing basically from the bore end. You can see the end of the barrel and the barrel shroud, as well as the ammunition belt feeding into it. I think it's a pretty compelling, pretty powerful image. This is the canvas print. It's a nice gallery wrap, ready to hang. The lowest end price for this is $44.99, and it goes up from there. And check us out. A lot more art available. Just another example. This goes more into the medieval theme. This is my Barbarian's Dreams t-shirt. The illustration on it of the axe, the flail, and the mace may look like a drawing, but these are actually photographs of weapons in my collection, grayscaled, and the contrast turned out until they looked like photographs. I think the effect was quite nice. I have a lot of other designs, t-shirts, posters, prints, and there will be other products coming up. Check us out, support the channel, remember, subscribe, like, and do that, and we'll be able to keep making content. And here's the resulting cannon. We did regular fit and finish, and once again I used the red mahogany. He stained the same as I used on the rifle, and followed that up with about a half dozen coats of tung oil until it got nice and smooth and shiny. Put three coats of Insta-Blue on the barrel itself to get this nice dark hue. So I think it came out looking pretty nice. So guns like this were really used from about really from the 14th century in some form, all the way to almost the end of the 19th century. In fact, some of the last big naval guns like this one, full-size ones, were actually still in use for harbor defense with the Royal Navy and the British Royal Navy during the First World War. Still a very simple design, very simple weapon. Powder, wadding, ball goes in, fuse goes in that end, light the fuse, bam! Simple enough weapon, simple enough design, and even this one is a real one, even though it's much smaller than even a half-size cannon. So this particular model is modeled after the cannons used on the USS Constellation, nicknamed Old Ironsides. But while this is a 69 caliber, the ones it's modeled after probably would have been 24 pounders, much bigger, much heavier weapons. The cannon itself would have been at least 6 times the length of this one, if not 10 times. But again, cannons like this had been used from really the 14th century, although those ones were much more primitive bombards. Fully formed cannons like this, although made of bronze, were in use really from 15th, 16th century up through the Napoleonic Wars. Ones made of steel, steel was not normally used for making cannons. That was too hard to work with in those days. But they did begin to use cast iron when the function of cast iron foundries became more developed and more advanced. Actually, to learn a little bit more about it, I have this book, Artillery Through the Ages, which is a short history of cannons, emphasizing types used in the Americas. Specifically, this is about Civil War cannons, but it gives the background on how those guns came about, talking quite a bit about the guns used by the Spanish, the French, and the English during colonial times, which themselves went right back to the Renaissance bombards and culverins and other types of early cannons that were in use, again, in the 14th, 15th, and 16th centuries.